Well, we're back. This is Kurt from Vermont Vermiculture, and I'm joined by my two assistants. This is Alex. He's the Vice President of Operations. Say hi, Alex.
Hi.
And this is Evan. Evan's in charge of Procurement Services. Can you say hi, Evan?
Hi.
All right. And these are the guys who are responsible for this whole thing in the first place. So what we're going to do now, we've unboxed the Worm Factory 360, and we're going to set it up to get it ready for the arrival of your worms. Your Worm Factory is probably going to arrive 2 or 3 days before your worms do, so it's important that you get this thing set up so that your food has a chance to decompose before the worms arrive and it'll be ready for them to eat. So we've got our base right here. The next thing we want to add is the worm ladder, and you want to add this with the letters facing you. And this will allow the worms, if they fall into the collection tray, to crawl back up into the working tray. This is our first working tray, and on the bottom of this working tray I've got about 4 pieces of newspaper, dry, just lining the bottom, and we're going to set that right in there. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to mix up our bedding. So what we've got here is half a brick of the coir that's been soaked. And you don't want it too wet. You should only be able to squeeze maybe a drop, not even a drop of water out of that. That's pretty good. And we also have a cup of active compost. This comes from one of our worm bins. Go ahead and dump that in there, Alex. And we have a cup of pumice next to it, so go ahead and add that in there, Alex. Just dump it right in there and give it a good mix. What the pumice does is it creates more channels for air to pass through, keeps your working trays from getting matted. It also soaks up excess moisture. So while Alex is mixing that up, I'll show you what else we have here. We have about 2 cups of food. It's mostly red pepper right here. You have some corn on the cob, a little bit of bread, stale bread, and we got a rotten avocado. It's about 2 cups. We're going to add this after we add the bedding. Okay, that's a good mix. Thank you, Alex.
Can I get my jar now?
And just a second. So we're going to add this bedding. Dump it right in there. All right. Move it around so it's nice and even in the bottom. Okay, then we're going to add the 2 cups of food. Now they recommend you put it in a corner, so we're going to put it in this back corner right here. And over the course of a couple days that's going to decompose and it'll be ready for the worms to eat. Now when you order worms from me, you're also going to receive a bag of worm bin starter, and that will help you to inoculate your worm bin. It has springtails in it, worm capsules, and even some juvenile worms. And so it'll jumpstart your worm bin. Alright, now we've got our bedding, we've got our food, and now the last step here, Evan, if you would be so kind to add the shredded newspaper. We want 2 or 3 inches of that, so go ahead and just dump that bag right in there, Evan. Alright, dump the whole thing in there. Shake it, give it a good shake. Okay, very good. And you can also, maybe a little bit more in there, spin it all out. Alright, going to make a nice even pile on the top. You can even tear this up as well and put it in there. Also put in some junk mail, some shredded office paper. You're looking for about 75% moisture in your bin. And usually you don't have to worry about that, especially with a plastic bin. Now the last step here, second to last step, you want to take about 4 sheets of moist newspaper. Lay that on the top right here. There we go, that's good right there. And the final step, this is our lid. And it has some handy tips on there, so we're going to put that right on the top. And we're going to let this sit for a couple days. This is going to give that food a chance to decompose, break down, and it'll be ready for the worms when they get here. So we'll come back in about 2 or 3 days and we'll add the worms.